I was standing in my kitchen at 3 in the morning, staring at a mountain of unfinished work and a cold, bitter cup of coffee. I felt like a complete failure. My alarm was set to go off in 3 hours, and I knew I wouldn't make it. I wanted to give up on everything, my business, my health, and my dreams. I realized in that moment that motivation is a liar. It visits you when things are easy, but it leaves you the second life gets hard.
Welcome to the show. Today we are learning how to build unstoppable discipline in just 30 days. Marcus, that sounds so heavy, and I think many of our listeners feel that exact same darkness when they try to change their lives.
They do, Luna, but that night I didn't quit. I decided to stop waiting for the feeling of wanting to work. I realized the discipline isn't about being a superhero. It's about making a choice when you are at your weakest. It's the small, boring habits that save you. That night, I didn't finish the work. I just cleaned one single plate in the sink. Just one. And that was the spark for the 30-day transformation we are discussing today.
That is such a powerful start, Marcus. I love the idea of cleaning just one plate. It sounds so small, but it's a big victory for the mind. For our listeners who are starting their 30-day journey today, what is the very first thing they should do to build that unstoppable discipline?
The biggest mistake people make is trying to do too much at once. They want to wake up at 5 a.m., run 5 miles, and read 50 pages on day one. That is a recipe for failure. Instead, I want you to focus on the 2-minute rule. If a habit takes less than 2 minutes, just do it now. If you want to start a gym habit, just put on your running shoes. That's it. That is your win for today. You are training your brain to say yes to the effort.
Wow, that is so simple. It takes away the fear of starting. Okay, everyone, it's time for our first vocabulary checkpoint. Marcus used two very important concepts, consistency and to show up. Can you explain why these are so vital for a B1 learner to understand in the context of success?
Of course, Luna. Consistency means doing something regularly, even if you only do a little bit. It is the opposite of being perfect. And to show up simply means to be present. If you go to the gym and only walk for 5 minutes, you still showed up. You kept the promise you made to yourself. That's how discipline is born. It's not about how well you do the task. It's about the fact that you didn't skip it.
I love that. Keeping the promise to yourself. Now I want to hear from you, the community. Stop the audio for a second and go to the comments. Tell us, what is the biggest distraction that stops you from showing up? Is it your phone? Is it your warm bed? Tell us below. Marcus, why is it so important to identify our distractions early?
Because once you name it, you can control it. If you know your phone is the villain in your story, you can leave it in another room. You are taking back your power one small choice at a time.
We are moving right along. Now that we understand the 2-minute rule, I want to take a much deeper dive into the psychology of our brains. Marcus, you mentioned that motivation is a liar. That is a very strong statement. Why does our brain trick us into wanting to quit when things get slightly uncomfortable? And specifically, what happens during those 30 days when we are trying to build discipline?
That is a fantastic question, Luna. To understand discipline, we have to understand the battle happening inside our heads. Scientists often talk about the conflict between the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala. Think of the prefrontal cortex as the wise CEO of your brain. It handles long-term goals, logic, and your future self. But the amygdala? That's like a panicked toddler. It only cares about survival, comfort, and immediate pleasure. When you decide to wake up early or study English for an hour, the CEO makes the plan. But the moment the alarm goes off, the toddler starts screaming because it wants to stay in the warm bed.
I love that analogy. I definitely feel like there's a panicked toddler in my head every morning. So how do we handle this toddler during a 30-day challenge? I've noticed that most people are very excited during the first week, but then everything changes around day 10 or 15.
Exactly. That is what I call the valley of disappointment. Let me tell you a story about my own 30-day challenge. A few years ago, I decided to write every single day for a month. The first week was great. I was full of fake motivation. I felt like a professional writer. But then, day 14 arrived. It was raining, I had a headache, and I had zero ideas. I sat at my desk for an hour and wrote nothing. My amygdala was screaming, "Go to sleep. This is useless. You aren't a writer." In the past, I would have listened to that voice. I would have quit and told myself, I'm just not in the mood today.
That's the moment where most of us fail. We think that if we don't feel inspired, we should stop. But what did you do differently that time?
I practiced something called delayed gratification. This is a concept from the famous marshmallow test conducted at Stanford University. Researchers gave a child one marshmallow and told them, if you can wait 15 minutes without eating it, I will give you 2 marshmallows. The children who could wait, who could delay their pleasure, went on to have much more successful lives. On day 14 of my writing challenge, I told my brain, I know you want the marshmallow of sleep right now, but if we sit here and write just 3 sentences, the 2 marshmallows will be the pride we feel tomorrow morning.
That is such a powerful shift in perspective. You are teaching yourself to value the future version of you more than the current, tired version of you. For our B2 learners, this is a key part of resilience. It's the ability to recover quickly from difficulties.
Precisely, Luna. And there's a biological reason why this is hard. We live in a world designed for instant gratification. Every notification on your phone, every like on social media gives your brain a tiny hit of dopamine. Dopamine is the chemical of more. It makes you want to keep scrolling, keep eating, or keep avoiding hard work. When you start a 30-day discipline challenge, you're essentially going through a dopamine detox. You are training your neural pathways to enjoy the process, not just the result.
So it's like we are rewiring our brains. It sounds almost like physical exercise for the mind. If I'm on day 20 and I'm feeling exhausted and bored, because discipline can be very boring, what is the deep dive technique I can use to keep going?
I use a technique called implementation intentions. Instead of saying, I will study English tomorrow, you create a very specific if-then plan. For example, if it is 7 p.m. and I feel the urge to watch Netflix, then I will first open my English book for 5 minutes. This removes the need for willpower. You're not making a decision in the moment, you're simply following a script you already wrote. You're outsmarting the panicked toddler before it even starts crying.
I love that. Outsmarting the toddler. It makes discipline feel less like a fight and more like a clever game. By the time you reach day 30, these if-then plans become automatic. They become your new identity.
That's the secret, Luna. Discipline isn't something you do, it's someone you become. By day 30, you don't have to try to be disciplined, you simply are a person who shows up regardless of how you feel. You have successfully moved the control from the amygdala back to the prefrontal cortex. You are finally the CEO of your own life.
We are entering a higher level of conversation now. Marcus, everything you've described suggests that discipline isn't just a habit, it's a sophisticated form of self-mastery. For our advanced learners listening, I want to talk about the cognitive load of making decisions. When we lack discipline, we spend so much mental energy debating with ourselves. Should I work out? Maybe later, or maybe now? That internal dialogue is exhausting, isn't it?
Absolutely, Luna. You've hit on a crucial point. People often view discipline as restrictive, but in reality, it is liberating. By automating your basic decisions through a structured 30-day protocol, you're essentially reducing your cognitive load. You're preserving your mental bandwidth for more creative and high-level pursuits. It's about moving beyond mere compliance with a schedule and achieving a state of grit. Grit is that rare combination of passion and long-term perseverance. It's the ability to maintain your equilibrium when the external world is in chaos.
I love that. And that leads us perfectly to today's gold word. Listeners, today's word is agency. Agency. In a C1 context, agency refers to your capacity to act independently and make your own free choices. When you are disciplined, you have agency. You are no longer a slave to your impulses or the panicked toddler Marcus mentioned earlier. You are the architect of your own destiny.
That is a profound way to put it, Luna. Having agency means you recognize that while you cannot control your circumstances, you have absolute authority over your response to them. True discipline is the meticulous construction of a lifestyle where your actions align perfectly with your core values. It is the ultimate expression of self-respect. If you spend 30 days proving to yourself that you can follow through, the psychological dividend is an insurmountable sense of confidence.
The psychological dividend. I love that phrasing. Okay, community. It is time for the Speak English with Luna challenge. For the next 30 days, I want you to choose one non-negotiable habit. It doesn't have to be huge. Maybe it's listening to this podcast for 15 minutes every morning, or writing 3 sentences in English before bed. Whatever it is, it must be non-negotiable. No excuses, no I'm tired, no I'll do it tomorrow.
My advice for the challenge? Don't aim for perfection. Aim for unbroken streaks. If you miss a day, you haven't failed the month, but you must start the streak again. The goal is to see how many days in a row you can exercise your agency. Remember, the world doesn't need you to be perfect. It needs you to be present.
It's time for our word tour. Marcus, let's do a rapid-fire recap of the 5 most important concepts from today's session. Are you ready?
I'm ready, Luna. Let's lock these in for the community.
First, consistency.
This is the heartbeat of progress. It's not about intensity, it's about frequency. Example, her consistency in studying English led to total fluency.
Second, to show up.
The act of being present regardless of your mood. Example, the secret to success is simply to show up, even on your rainy days.
Third, delayed gratification.
Choosing the future you over current comfort. Example, he practiced delayed gratification by saving money instead of buying a new phone today.
Fourth, our gold word, agency.
Your capacity to act and make your own choices. Example, discipline gives you the agency to change your life story.
And finally, cognitive load.
The mental energy used for decision-making. Example, by planning her meals, she reduced her cognitive load for the rest of the day.
We did it! Your 30-day journey toward unstoppable discipline starts right now with your very first 2-minute victory. Marcus, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with the Speak English with Luna community today. Any final words for our listeners?
My pleasure, Luna. Just remember, don't wait for the perfect moment or the right feeling. They don't exist. Just start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. You've got this.
Beautiful. Remember, everyone, your future self is already cheering for you. Share this episode with one friend who needs a boost of agency today. Subscribe for more aspirational English, and we will see you in the next episode. Stay disciplined, stay inspired, and keep speaking. Goodbye.